here, and that's what matters. So we're going to run we've got up to an hour. We'll probably be just a little less. And I'm going to take you through this webinar, which is all based around a client that we work with. She's already an experienced speaker. She was already a confident speaker. She had content, but actually what happened was she wasn't getting any sales, any conversions. Hello, Tom. Lovely to see you and meet you. Oh, bye-bye, Tom. Lovely to see you and meet you. And I want to take you through what we did with her. Right. So I will take you through all the steps we went through to create what we created and how she monetized that and made £20,000 from one talk. You'll also see a testimonial from her, which it blew her away. And I want to show you what we did with her, because what's really important here is to understand that A, whatever level you're speaking, this works. B, if you're already getting paid, which I know some of you are, this works. So it's all about how you move people further towards wanting to do something further with you. Okay, so that's what this is about. I will take questions at the end. It will be like me talking and then I'll take questions. Of course, feel free to use the chat. I can't always open it while I'm in flow, so please understand that if I don't see your question straight away, that I will come to it. So it's lovely to see some smiley faces like Deborah, Tom. It's lovely to see you and meet you. Everybody, hello. If you want to go off camera, I'm completely okay with that. I'm aware, but it is nice to see smiley faces. But for the next few minutes, I'm just going to be, actually, I will be asking you some questions in a minute. So I just want to remind everybody that never has there been a greater time to stand out as a speaker, period. This is the time to use speaking. And it doesn't matter where you are, right at the beginning, established or not. It's really the time that people need great speakers. We need hope. We need light bearers, light shiners. We need people to share expertise, because there's a lot of uncertainty out there. Right now, people need what you have between the 6 inches between your eyes. Okay, so we need that. Also, people want to be supported, they want to be lifted, they want to be uplifted, right? And one of the greatest ways to do that is through speaking, which is why we've put these series of webinars on, which are also available on the YouTube channel, because what we want to do is help people use speaking to uplift, to support their communities, whatever you want to call your community. And of course, because I don't know about you, but I'm very frustrated when I see speakers with great potential, but don't get the results they want. They don't have the impact they want, and they certainly don't get monetize it in the way they want. So that's why we're doing this today. And I will be telling you how to move forwards with us a little bit as well. If you choose to do that, great. If not, get value, do something, and please go out there, make an impact. So the quick question I have for you is, what is your challenge right now with your speaking? If you want to type in the chat and I can have a quick look. What is your biggest challenge right now? Because I want to make sure that, of course, you're in the right place, but if I can in any way address it as well. So getting started, good challenge. I like that challenge. Nice one, Deborah. What else are your challenges? Well, I have a swig of my coffee. I've got my coffee. I got my little smelly candle here going. You know, I'm ready. And it's a cold morning in Devon. My biggest challenge is being paid what I want and deserve. Estelle, you and me need to talk, right? Also getting started and finding the right audience after a few practice. Yes, Tim, brilliant. Love a smelly candle. So do I. I only work with smelly candles and getting relevant speaking events. Okay, so today I'll come back to those, and please stay to the end so I can answer those questions. Today is about the delivery and what we did with Maria. And other clients I do this with to get results. It's not just about Maria as well, but if I haven't answered or addressed that, please feel free to, remind me and I will answer those questions as well. So here's the people, the industries, the businesses we've worked with and we work with on a regular basis. And I've got some good news, because they all have very similar challenges, which you will probably find that you have to, in some capacity, staying current, getting booked, getting paid. Someone's already mentioned that, getting sales when they speak. So you can speak, get paid a little, and get sales. There's ways to do that. Struggling with the online noise, low speaking impact, no conversions or low conversions, not enough places to practice. All of these things is what they all have in common. And I'm sure you have one or two or three, or maybe all of them in common as well. And just a little bit about me, because there's some new faces, new people here. So hello, welcome. It's lovely to meet you. And just to reacquaint myself, I'm Elliot Kay, and I have been doing this for over a decade. I've worked with a variety of business owners and entrepreneurs. I'm an author myself. My 6th book is ready and waiting to be published. I've written 5, 2 of them are bestsellers. I write for magazines. I've also recently co-launched the Speaker Awards, which happened in November, which is where I got to meet Deborah and other people as well. And that was a huge success, 100 speakers in the room, where we gave awards for recognition to their contribution in the industry. I mentor the Printers Trust, and I am also a virtual speaker. I'm accredited, which means I spent $80 to be told I can speak online. Money well spent. And so that's a little bit about me. Now, I've been doing this over a decade, and I have run other businesses. I ran a coaching business before that, strategy business before that. And for me, the reason I moved full-time into Speaker Express is actually because in 2018, I woke up with depression just out of nowhere. It was my birthday. I woke up really depressed. I couldn't explain it. At the time, my daughter was very young. I mean, not that she's old now. She's only 6 now, but that'll give you an idea of how young she was. And what happened was, for months, I battled depression. I had no logical explanation. It's not a logical thing. And when I came out of it, I worked with a healer, right? And when I came out of it, I realized that I'd built the wrong business. I didn't build a business that was on purpose, my purpose in life, as in to help people be more giraffe, to help people step into the limelight. That I built a strategy business that gave me good money and everything that I was looking for, except serving my higher purpose. So then I moved full-time into Speaker Express, and I raised investment, and my whole job was to scale it and take it across the universe, across the world, really. And then pandemic happened. So that's why I full-time are focused on helping speakers truly step into limelight, use their voice for good, and of course have the impact they want, because people need great speakers. When it comes down to head giraffe, that's all about standing out, being seen, being heard by the right people. So that's what the whole giraffeness is about. And Vanessa, it's lovely to see you again. Really nice to see you again. And that's what that's all about. So you see pictures of giraffes and you'll see pictures of things. It's because I want to remind everybody that to stick your neck out, to be seen and be heard for all the right reasons. As well as that, this year, last couple of years, I've won loads of awards. I've been the top 5% content creator for Riverside, which is a podcasting platform, which puts me in good company like Guy Raz, Tim Ferriss, and people like that. Don't quite have their downloads or following yet, but that's okay. We'll have to drop off at 12:40. There will be a replay. It's also on our YouTube channel, by the way, just so you know. So that's a tiny bit about me. And we work with a variety of industries and entrepreneurs, from property to authors to people pitching on TV to chefs to accountants. As you saw, there's tech entrepreneurs there's influencers, there's a variety of people we get to work with on a regular basis. So this webinar came across because of this. So Maria came to me already speaking, right? And she was confident, she had content, and she spoke in front of head teachers. In fact, she still does speak in front of head teachers. Probably the most skeptical, most resistant people you can stand in front of, generally speaking, because they get it from all angles. Head teachers get it from teachers, they get it from the students, they get it from the parents, and the headmaster, right? So they're under immense pressure continuously. So when Maria came to me, as she said, she had literally no sales, nothing. And then what happened was we reworked, which I'm going to show you what we did, and we tweaked things. And then what happened was she got 30 sales over 2 days, and she made 20K. And that was over 2 sessions that I worked with her. And I'm just going to take you through what we did, which really changed it for her. And someone else we did this with is a guy called Ed. Ed had 4 businesses, not 1, 4. And again, very confident, very good salesman, done it all his life. And he came to me, he goes, it's just not landing. It's not my confidence. Something's not landing. People aren't buying. People aren't signing up. People aren't investing. I was like, okay, so we had a look at it. And again, I'm going to take you through what we did with him as well. And so when he did fundraise, he wanted to raise £250,000, and he ended up raising almost £500,000. And that's what I want to show you, that this works whether you are raising investment, whether you're standing on stage, whatever stage you're at, there's lots to learn here. And that's why I wanted to unpack it, right? So here's the thing. Now, I know you seeing this go, oh my God, that's so obvious. How relevant is the content? Of course it's relevant, Elliot. And so when I work with Maria and Ed and other people you hear about today, it is the relevancy of the content to the audience's problem, right? What a lot of people do, a lot of speakers, even very established, is they talk about the content that they love talking about, or they think needs to be talked about. when I talk about relevance, it's relevance to the audience, relevance to the problem that your audience has shown up to attend. You've shown up here today because of the relevancy of wanting to monetize your speaking, right? I have a whole bunch of other content I could do. I could do confidence. I could do speak with authority. I could do conversational selling, but that's not relevant. It doesn't mean it's not a great talk. So what you really need to think about is think about the relevancy to the problem you're solving. And that's key number one. So with Maria, she had lots of great content, but some of it wasn't relevant, even though it was good, right? It wasn't relevant to the audience she was speaking. Same with Ed. Ed, I'm like, you are just conveying information. It's good information, but it's not important or relevant to the audience. So that's the first thing we looked at, is the relevancy of the content. Please remember that. That might mean either someone having a review with you, slightly tweaking it, because of course we know, hey, what I talk about is relevant. That's why I speak. Of course it's relevant. I know my stuff. You do. Relevance in the context of the problem of your audience. Okay, that's the first key we looked at. Second thing we looked at, we did a deep dive into her audience. Now, of course, head teachers is obvious. And of course, for Ed, the recruitment industry is obvious. But what really keeps them up at night? What are the key problems that your relevancy of your content needs to address to get them to want to go forwards with you? Now, again, you might go, this is really obvious. But too many people churn out the talks they like to deliver and they want to deliver, which is okay, but it doesn't address the key problems of their audience currently. Now, 6 months ago, your talk could be out of date. I'm not saying it is. I'm just giving you an overboard, right? A key thing, what keeps your audience up at night, right? What are the key problems, challenges that keeps your audience up at night? Now, it depends what you're speaking about. I get that. And there's a variety of people, a variety of topics. I know there's social media speakers here. I know there's people that talk about burnout, right? It does depend, but it's not always the obvious things that are keeping them up at night, right? So, and I know that's a big term, but if you think about it, if we went with social media, someone might not be kept up awake because, for example, how they use their Instagram, how they do reels, or how to do this, but maybe the fact that they're putting so much time into something and not getting a return, right? Is it effective? Is it useful? If we're talking about burnout, it's not, oh, I'm burnt out that's keeping me up. It's the things around it, the relationships around being tired and lack of energy and all these kind of bits and bobs. These are key things that you need to do. And if you don't know what the answer to this, people, right, ask them. Ask your audience. Ask people that have been to your talks. Ask your favorite clients, what keeps you up at night? And let them come back to you, okay? The next problem I see when I work, especially in the expert field, is people's ability to articulate the problem back to the audience. It's not to say you don't know, because you're all experts here, and that's why you're here. The challenge is speaking it in the language that's open, so your audience can process it and go, yeah, they get my problem. They've got me. So again, with Maria, of course, she knew her stuff. And she worked with a doctor, by the way. So she was backed with science. And the challenge with her was really building that bridge of articulation so the audience understand that she understands them. Key. So can you articulate your problem, the problems of your audience in the way they process it? For example, today I was working with someone and she started talking in this very scientific language. And I was like, that doesn't work for the audience. That works for you, but it doesn't work for the audience. So again, the language you use is really important. It's got to be open and inclusive. And a great example of this is someone called Juan I worked with. And Juan came out of the army. So Juan used to command 4,000 troops. He can drive tanks and he can fly helicopters. So he's a very dangerous guy. He's also a very nice guy, right? And the problem with Juan is he would stand on stage and he would yell at the audience, or he would stand there as if he's still commanding troops. And so when I said to him, look, you're not quite articulating the problem in the way the audience will understand. We need to soften you a bit, right? You're not going to war, although it might feel like it because you're on stage. you need to come across a bit softer, right? We need to change how you articulate the problem. We need to make sure that what you're saying is relevant. You know, if you yell at soldiers, soldier, you need to do this, they'll run and do it because they're obeying an order. The audience don't have to be there, right? They're there because they want to hear what you have to say. So let's really look at language, structure, and impact. Let's change it around a bit. And we really softened him, not in a way that we completely took away who he was, but we softened him. We changed the language, how he spoke and all that. And as a result of that, when he started to do corporate gigs and things like that, then he got recruited to the Story Warriors community manager. And that's when they take guns and knives off the street and melt them to build gyms. And that was really in line with his purpose and passion. That comes because we softened him a lot, but we changed how he articulated. We changed the relevancy of what he was talking about. So it's working. So it worked for him. The other thing I want to say is, again, with Maria and others and Juan and Ed, strip out what isn't working. You might enjoy delivering it, but if it doesn't have an impact, right? If you think of everything you say is about getting someone to either say yes or no, right, in their mind, whether you're doing thought leadership, right, whether you're selling a product or a service, whatever it is, it's all about getting them forwards. And if it isn't working, then you're taking them away. So are the stories working? Is your delivery working? All these things, you've got to be quite brutal with yourself, because it's also about the millimeters and milli-inches when we deliver. It's about the little bits that have a huge impact. And again, when I sit and I do review sessions with speakers, or I'll work with them on their talks, they're so attached to certain elements of it. And then I have to kind of go, but that's not working. And the proof is in the pudding. They're like, no, it is. I'm like, right. Do you get signups? Do people come up to you afterwards? Do people even enjoy what you're saying? Well, I'm not sure. Well, then it's not, right? So is that kind of level of streaming a bit like, this is a terrible example, but it's a bit like, taking a big piece of dirt and you're stripping it to only what is needed. And that's a terrible example, but you get my point. Get rid of the fluff, get rid of what isn't working, which is mine. Every talk, it's about reviewing what worked, what didn't work, what can I improve? And that's what we did with Maria. We reviewed each stage of her talk, right? Some speakers are as particular as they review each line. I'm not saying you need to do that, okay? But each section, is it having the impact on the audience? Is it getting people closer to a yes? Is it helping people move forwards towards, this is key here, right? And if it's not, then it needs to be changed. This is where you need to be slight. You almost need to be your own best friend, but without the mush. You need to go, Vanessa, this isn't working. We need to change this. But no, it is. No, it isn't, because it's not getting the impact we want, right? Or you need someone like me to come along and review that with you. Does that make sense? Because it's got to get them closer to, even if you're getting paid to speak, closer to buying into your thought leadership, into your concept. So each section needs to do that, right? And again, someone that was like, it is working, it's not working, it is working, like one of those backwards, is John, who I worked with. And they design products on shelves, to catch the eye. And you got 0.3 of a second, by the way, to catch someone's eye in a supermarket. So they're in a pretty hard space. So when I sat with John and Chris, his business partner, again, they were like, but it's working. Like, it's clearly not. It's working. It's not. Right. How many bookings do you get? How many inquiries do you get? Oh, but people always like our talks. We always get round of applause and they tell us, well done. I'm like, but how much does that lead to repeat bookings? Does that lead to, no, well, then it's not working. Let's be honest about this. And of course, when they're creatives, which a lot of you are, so attached to the creative process. And they're like, oh, but if I have a structure, will it stifle my creativity? No, it will enhance your creativity. But if I change the language, will people get it? Yes, because people understand it, right? And that's what we did. And eventually it was a bit of a backwards and forwards, creative versus this, boom, boom, boom. And eventually they did listen and they re-engineered their whole talk to the structure that we use. And that's what happened. You see the testimonials, they got loads of inquiries. Now, considering for them, their projects range from 25,000 to upwards. To get one sale from working with us was well worth it, right? So they more than doubled, if not more than that, right, what I charged them. So this is why it matters. Relevancy, knowing their problem. We need to stop doing what doesn't work. doesn't matter how you love it, right? Of course, I want you to love being on stage and enjoy the experience. But if it's not working, stop doing it. So a lot of people don't use data. You got to use data. Back yourself with data. No articulation. The talks aren't effective. They might feel good, a bit like John. They got round of applause. Well done. You guys are so cool, but it didn't lead anywhere. That's not what we want here, right? Again, you could have showed up and I could have done a little, I could have done how to make 20K or done this, what you're doing, how to monetize your speaking. And I can, oh, here's a section about confidence and here's a section about storytelling. You're not here for that, right? It's nice and it's good, but are you here for that? It's not. You got to keep it targeted. Don't overload people with information. We're already information heavy. So much information. Keep it relevant, targeted. Less is more often, right? And again, a lot of speakers, what they do is they mix too much of the how with the what people need to know. Those are two different talks. What people need to know is one thing. How people achieve it is another. And just remember that if you do want to monetize your speaking and you do want people to work with you, then you emphasize on what people need to know to magnify the gap because they'll hire you to work with them. That's the thing. If you give away the how, people won't need to work with you. Let me give you this example very quickly. Let's say I say to Estelle here, I'm like, hey, Estelle, listen, I'm coming to a place near you. Let's meet up and let's hang out. I want to take you to this really cool restaurant. It's 5 stars. It's really nice. It's yummy. It's great. Gluten-free, organic food. It's brilliant. But on the way, I just want to stop at this buffet. Let's just stop at this buffet and let's eat the buffet first and then we'll go to the restaurant. What happens next is we're both really full and then we won't make it to the restaurant. That's what a lot of people do with their speaking. You're giving people the buffet, so they're full. So they don't want to do anything else with you because they're going to go home and try out what you've told them, and then maybe they'll circle back to you. Stop filling your audience up, right? Serve them, add value, absolutely. But don't fill them up. Don't give them the buffet because they want the 5 stars. Is this making sense? Give me a thumbs up or why in the chat. Yeah, I'm seeing some heads nodding. I see some thoughts going. Good stuff, right? And again, I really want to invite you all to stop being so vanilla. Stop sounding like the other speakers in your space because it's safe. You got to stand out. Your content needs to stand out. It needs to be different, right? Everything needs to be different. Yay. Cool. So just before we crack on with the other steps, I just very quickly want to take a few minutes to tell you about our efficiency speaking program. It will take a few minutes. And then if you want to do that, there's a Google link, which you can read. Some of you have heard of it already. But it's basically designed and engineered to help you be more efficient with your speaking and your ability to sell from the stage. So this isn't about keynotes, people. And the way we work is we rework the talk that you might have or create one. We help you with marketing. We help you to get booked. We show you some of the hacks. And of course, we support you through it, right? So definitely get it, Elliot. Okay, cool. Nice one, Tom. This is for people that have content, even if you're just starting out, that you have confidence. It isn't about confidence. You want to be the authority and the expert. And of course, you want people to buy from them, as in you, after the talk. So this is the program. And the way we do it is we work on a structure. We help you get booked. And also, I'm going to put some skin in the game, and I explain how that works in a second. But you also have continuous support as well. This is all in the Google Doc you're going to read. So Regina will paste it shortly in the chat. But basically, we do a one-to-one session to engineer your talk. We then also take you through a get booked session where I'll show you how to reach out, how to get the bookings you want. And of course, the idea is you get booked, you deliver, and then you start to make the money that Maria made, or more, by the way, or less. It depends on you and what you're selling. I know Maria's price point was £800 per person. So that will give you an idea of the price point she was selling at. Right. So this is for you. If you have something to say and have a product, if you want more sales when you speak and you want to get more bookings, you want to be the expert and of course have an impact on your industry. You do get bonuses as well, but read about that. I won't go into this right now because I want to keep giving you the juicy nuggets. Right. But there are videos and support, and you get a G drive full of templates and full of scripts and lots of things. My idea is to really help you get booked, right? That's the thing, which is why I'm willing to put some skin in the game, which people like, I've never heard of this structure before, and explain how it works. right, in a second. So here's what will happen is it's £360, including VAT, and I call that skin in the game deposit. I give you the one-to-one training up front. I give you the get booked session. You get access to everything. You then have 90 days to go and do whatever you need to do to get booked and get paid. And of course, use the structure is to sell. If you make the money first, you pay me the rest of the amount, right? If nothing happens, then you have another 90 days. And then after 90 days, we take a second payment. And then after 90 days, we take a third payment. So there's big gaps, because I know what it's like when you kind of know that monthly payment's coming up and you haven't quite made the money. So I'm going to put skin in the game too. But if you go out and you do like Maria, you'll just pay me the rest of the money, which is £900 plus VAT. Good or good, people? Yeah, good deal? Good deal, right? So that's it. And I'm closing this cohort down. This price will go up. That's not a scarcity thing, but in next year, it's going to go up because it's crazy value. And that's the last time I'm doing it at this price. So yeah, £360, that's your skin in the game. It gets you going, then nothing for 90 days. But I want you to go out and make that money. That's my ambition for you. So you can pay me earlier, deal? And then you can stay on the program. I don't kick you off the program because you've paid me. You stay on as long as you want, right? Just after this, by the way, we have our drop-in calls. So you got something to say, you want more sales, you want to be expert, you want to get booked? Let's do this. Someone that did this with us, again, Sarah, she's now a big property investor. With her is about tweaking everything we talked about, relevancy. And as a result of that, and also we worked on her delivery, she was able to go out, give talks. She now gets paid to get to speak as well. She's done a TEDx, right? And that's because of the signature talk that we worked on, showing her the ability to get booked, but also how to deliver with impact. So that's happened with Sarah as well. So there'll be a QR code, right? So you can scan it, or Regina's put the link in the box. So just click on it. There's a Google Drive where you can read. If you have questions, and please do, you can book in a call there with me and let's have that chat. Some of you already had that chat with me and you're here to say, hey, I want to make sure this is true, right? Some of you might want to talk about something else. Someone might be like, that's not the program for me, but I'm looking for this. Book in a call. Let's have that chat for the end of the year. Let's do this and let's move forwards, right? But this is literally the last chance to get it at this price, right? And the QR code will be there throughout now, and it's going to be in the chat. Okay, good. Everybody still with me? Whoop, whoop. Fantastic. Okay, the next thing we did is we tweaked the story, right? And this is really important because I know there's some incredible stories in this room, as in here on this call right now, or the Zoom, whatever you want to call it. Fantastic stories, right? When you unpack a story, the relevancy, again, goes back to relevancy to the audience, yeah? And magnifying the problem you're solving, how you solve it, and of course, how you're the person to solve it, right? So this is key. A lot of people might tell their personal story, which is okay, but they don't always pick the relevant parts of the story which are relevant to the audience. They tell the parts they think or they like or they think the audience need to hear. It's got to, and I repeat again, magnify the problem. It's got to demonstrate your expertise and also why you're the person to help them with the problem. So a lot of the from are great stories. They're fantastic stories and have their place. They're not always relevant, or bits of it aren't relevant, right? I'm recently working with someone who was about to get put into, get hospitalized as in a psychiatric ward, right? And she ran away. So you're going to hear about her soon. She ran away. She hid for like 3 months and then came back. She weaned herself off medication, right? Completely. She self-healed to the point where when she saw the psychiatrist, they're like, oh my God, you're completely okay. But not every part of that story is relevant to the audience she's going to be speaking. So we have to pick what's relevant. So again, in Maria's case, in Ed's case, in Juan's case, in Sarah's, it's all about the relevancy to the audience, right? And that's what matters here, because that's, again, because we automatically put ourselves in there when we hear a story. So it's got to be something we can relate to. It's got to be something that relates to the problem you're solving. It's got to be something that, of course, will emotively uplift us, educate us, but it's a positioning piece. You also use the story to call out the clients you want to work with. A lot of people go, well, and this happened to me, and then this happened to me, and this happened to me, and this happened to me. Fab. That's nice, but a lot of times it's like, well, how's that relevant to me? How does that help me? right? You know, I know, for example, Estelle here is a fantastic story. It's massively uplifting. It's brilliant, you know. The important thing, as well as Gia and other people in this room, the important is it's communicated in a way that's relevant for the audience. Now, again, Estelle, I've never heard you tell the story, so I'm not saying you don't before I get an ass whooping at all. I just know you have a fantastic story. But just remember that the importance with the story is the relevancy to the audience. That's key, okay? The other thing we did is rework the flow. So again, yesterday I was working with Jazz, who's the speaker of the year. I'm from the Speaker Awards. She's an incredible woman. If you haven't connected with her, please do. And she's already very established, very accomplished. We're talking 20K fee, you know, anything from 7.5 upwards. And yesterday we rejigged her content a bit because it still wasn't quite right. So none of this is an indication that you're bad or you don't know what you're doing, but it wasn't quite right. So we rejigged it, added some elements like visibility aids, and just things that will magnify the talk. And that's what I did with Maria. We just tweaked it a little bit. We changed things about, we changed the flow, because most speakers go, hi, my name is Elliot K, and I'm this, and I'm that, and I've done this, and I've done that. That's old school speaking. People now are so information overload. They immediately want to know what's in it for them, that you've got to tweak that, right? Change the order. That's what we do with our signature talk. It's not your typical like, hi, I am. Actually, that doesn't, you don't even introduce yourself to the third step. That's what we did in Maria. And again, the relevancy of the story she told and Ed and the flow is what gave this strength and power. And that's how it had the impact that she wanted and desired, right? The other thing is, of course, when it comes down to monetizing your speaking, and this is something, again, we talked with Maria on the strategies of doing this as well, is how you proactively outreach to get the gigs that you want. Because a lot of you do outreach, right? A lot of you, I mean, some of you get to the point where you're big enough and you don't need to, but till then. So again, with Maria, we talked about how the messaging and the type of opportunities she was looking for, which of course was head teacher. So it's pretty easy, but still how you outreach, who you outreach to is really, really important. Because remember that getting booked is about relationships. It's relationship building. Of course, you'll get someone go, you know, hey, Tim, I'd like to book you. How much? Fantastic. Great. But a lot of that is still about relationship building, right? That's key here. So as long as you're understanding that, that will help with getting the gigs you want, which then put you in front of the audience you want, which then allow you to promote to the audience you want or sell or however you want to do it. So if you're not already, which I know some of you are on the Gig Getters, if you're not already on the Gig Getters alert, make sure you are. Because every day we send out speaking opportunities, a variety of them, for you to build those relationships, for you to apply and things like that. And something else actually we do on the Effective Speaking program is we do a whole session on how to use LinkedIn to get booked and how to do outreach and some hacks that people don't know. So yes, if you're not part of a gig, do that. And by the way, it's $9.99 a month or $97 for the year. So it's not a massive expense as well. Right. So, where did that go? And step number 7, I believe it is, because I've got this thing above my, is that 7? Can you just give me a nod? Yeah, cool. Because I got all these bars and they're not moving. Is this. I want to tell you a very, very, very quick story, if I may, because we're good on time. And I want you to understand that before we talk about simplifying the call to action, I want you to understand the key is that when you're speaking, whether you're paid or not, or booked or not, is you're always selling, right? And the sale happens before you're in the room. Remember, I talk about being an authority, and most people are 50% authority because they're great speakers, but there's nothing prior to that. So a very quick story. So for those of you at the conference a couple of weeks ago, you'll remember this. I went to see the speaker. I couldn't wait to see the speaker. He was like, oh my God, I'm so excited to see him. And I went to see, and I sat in the front row and I waited and I waited. There were other speakers before him, and I was just waiting for this speaker with bated breath. Oh my God, I'm going to see him. He's so cool. A bit of a groupie here. I'm like, oh, he's so amazing. Anyway, before that speaker came on, there was a bit of a break. And of course, having sat there most of the day, I needed a wee. I wee as well, believe it or not. And I turned around, I looked at the main toilet and it was packed. There was loads of people queuing. So I looked to the side of the stage and I noticed an exit door was open. Next to it was a little toilet. I was like, yes, okay. So I snuck very quietly, hoping no one else would spot me, into that toilet. So I get into that toilet and I'm doing my thing, standing there, thinking about loads of things. And behold, next to me, this guy comes in, stand next to me, and and I look across, like, oh my gosh, it's that speaker. I couldn't wait to see it. I'm like, oh, I'm in the toilet peeing next to him. So a little bit of a moment there, like, what do you do? This is awkward. Like, come on, just hold, it's very strange being a man peeing next to someone that, at the time you thought is a god kind of thing. Anyway, so I say nothing and do nothing. And I finish my thing and I turn around and I'm washing my hands, right? I'm washing my hands, doing my thing. And he finishes his thing and he turns around and I'm expecting him to kind of wash his hands. And I'm expecting them to catch his gaze and say hi, right? Because you can when you're washing hands. It's weird when you're peeing, but it's not weird when you're washing hands. So he turns around, I'm washing my hands, and he literally goes like this. Gives me a little, and walks out. I'm like, did he just not wash his hands? And like, that is disgusting. Like, and from that moment onwards, I could not stop thinking about the fact that he didn't wash his hands. So there he is. He's welcome on stage. Welcome. I'm not going to say it was, right. I'm like, his hands are dirty. And then I'm watching him like pick things up, going, that's got pee on it. And then he's writing on the flip chart. I'm like, oh, that's got pee on it. And then he's like shaking people's hands, like, oh my God, you guys are now touching pee, right? So it changed my whole experience around that speaker, because I want you to understand that you're always selling. You are always selling your thoughts, selling your expertise, selling your programs, selling your brand. You're always selling. And now forever, his brand is tarnished in my mind, right? So it all matters, right? I'll come back to that in a second, but all matters. So A, please make sure you always wash your hands. 2, make sure you understand that speaking is still selling in whatever format you think. Even if you're booked and like Jazz, you're getting 20 grand a keynote, you're still selling. You're selling people the time to listen to you. Please understand that. So step 7 with Maria is we made it very easy to buy from her, right? Very easy. So simple that it's like a yes or a no. If you get people to think too much, then they either get confused, and no one wants to feel silly, right? So if I don't quite get how to buy from you, I won't buy, because I don't want to feel like an idiot. And a lot of people won't ask questions. They just go, oh, okay. The clever people get this. I'm not saying that literally that's how you think, but you just won't do anything and a confused mind doesn't buy. And the other thing is, don't expect people to jump up. You need to lead them to, and if you make it very easy, like today, click on the link, read the Google Doc. There's 2 links in there. You click on them if you want to talk to me, or you sign up. That's it. Very simple process. Make it easy, or scan the QR code. Exactly. Make it simple. A lot of people make it too complicated. Go here, get this, and then if you do this, and then you need to click on this, and then maybe you get this. Oh, and if you do this, you might get that. It's like, too confusing. Simple it, right? And someone we simplified everything down, and she used the format we teach. Some of you might know Shamini. This is a year ago now, but basically we simplified the whole process for her, and she turned it into a masterclass. And then when she made the call, her call to action, by the way, was fill in this application form. She didn't even say how much, right? So obviously she added value. She followed the structure we showed her. She added value, and then people just filled in the form without knowing how much it was, which I did not. I was like, no, you should put the price. She's like, no, I don't want to. No, you should put the price. I'm not going to. I'm like, okay, it's over to you. And then she almost made she almost made 20 grand, well, 16 grand, right? Selling her program. So if you make it easy, people are more likely to do it. If you overcomplicate it, people check out, period. Right? So please remember the P story. Now you always remember that. You're always selling, right? It all matters, right? You're always selling. So whether you get booked to speak, or whether you are speaking to sell, every part of it, and you're standing on stage, you're selling. The sale starts before the room and it starts outside of the room as well. Please remember that. Okay. Any questions so far? Yeah. Thanks, Vanessa. Right. Any questions about anything that I've covered so far? You can type them. You can ask them on the mic, because we're doing good for time. Any questions for anyone about anything I cover? I'm not going to tell you who the guy is, so don't ask that. Someone always goes, "Who's the guy?" I'm not going to tell you.
Elliot, if I may,
Yes.
We sell a service, right, for basically something that most businesses have heard of, but they've never in their private life, but they've never thought of it as a business use. How do we convey that to them?
The key is to drill down the problem of not having it.
Yeah.
That's key. If you can remember the relevancy I talked about at the beginning, even if people need it, they need to want it. And therefore you need to magnify the problem of not having it. Because people buy for two reasons, pain or pleasure, right?
Yeah.
Most of us on this call, assumption is most of us here are in the pain space. Period. Most of us are offering services to solve a pain, unless you're selling yachts or jets, right? Anyone here selling yachts or jets? It's okay if you are, by the way. All you need to do is magnify the problem of having a yacht. That's a tough sell, right? But for you, Tom, it's about, if I understand the problem of not having it and get why you're the company to provide it, then I'm likely to buy from you.
Right.
So it is about positioning as well, but it's about drilling down the gap of not having your product, because you come in and fill that gap. Does that make sense?
I get that.
Yeah. So when you speak, it's about enrolling the audience and then seeing what problem you solve, how you solve it, and why you're different from anyone else that might be selling it. And I don't know your product, so it's a bit hard for me to. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Perfect. If I can help with that, ask away. Anyone else have any questions before we move on?
Yeah, I've got a question, Elliot.
Yes.
So you were saying earlier on, you know how you were talking about the yes-no tug of war in terms of this is working, no, it isn't, or whatever, right? So the question around that is, how can you actually tell? I understand that we're looking at conversions or non-conversions to show whether the talk is, successfully structured, grabbing, all that kind of thing. How can we tell the difference between it being a not very engaging talk, like how to say this? Well, what I'm trying to say is that what's the difference between someone being switched off and not engaged because they're preoccupied in their mind versus the impact of the talk and it's not been a good talk? Does that make sense?
The key, it's a good question. I think experience is one thing. You learn to read a room. You literally learn to there's one thing between people sitting back with their arms folded or they're kind of like processing face, which often can look like a bit of a bitch face. They can look bored. There's difference because a lot of people process slightly differently. So they look, if lots of people are grabbing their phones and, and they're not, you can energetically sense it, heads down, then it's not landing. Which is where a lot of things like using questions, engagement, getting people up, down, the continuous demanding a response come in, because that always pulls them in. Storytelling pulls them in. Humor pulls people back in, right? Because you won't be allowed, very rarely would you like, can we leave our phones outside, please? Very few people will let you do that. You can learn, the more you deliver it, you read the room, and you can read the room. You can see when people are processing, listening and quiet versus disengaged and something's not landing. I always practice my jokes. And if a joke doesn't get laugh after 3 or 4 times, then I won't do it again. Right. It's one thing they think about the joke and then they laugh versus they're just not laughing. Well, it's just not funny. Let's be honest. No, but it will be funny. One day someone will. No, it's no point. Because also then they go, oh, this guy's an idiot. Right? He thinks he's funny. He's not funny. So it is about experience. And it's also, the other thing is, as you start to do more and more rooms, people, is the organizers ask for feedback about the speakers, right? Ask for the feedback. Say, can I have my feedback, please? And then you will find out what people liked. And I didn't like that section. So if there's a trend of someone going, oh, I didn't like that section, and there's lots of it, it's okay, that needs to change. And there's nothing stopping you from asking for feedback, right? Hey guys, here's a link. I always improve for feedback. The only thing I would say is be careful with feedback, is because it can take someone out of the buying process, because they go, oh, I like this, I didn't like this. Oh, okay, I don't want to work with it. So make sure you ask for feedback post any sales. is my point. Okay.
Oh, right. Brilliant. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. So this is someone that kind of typifies this whole journey. Janetta, some of you might know her. She's also got quite a quite harsh story, which she uses in the sense to empower people and parents about her daughter and things like that. I won't tell it because of trigger warnings. But for her, it's about everything we just talked about. She used to be a motivational speaker in South Africa. She came to the UK. She had nothing, and we built her up from the whole journey, her customer journey, everything up. As a result, she launched something called Jenny's Day, which is in memory of her daughter, which now attracts athletes and things like that. And she did all of that through speaking pitch to, Olympians, athletes, celebrities, and they do, I believe, on Mental Health Week as well. So again, it's all tied up into that. So the thing is, it's about relevancy, right? It's about identifying the problem and communicating that. It's about making what you're saying accessible. So people buy into you, buy into what you're saying, and of course, buy from you. Whether you want to get booked and get paid or whether you're speaking to sell, these are all the same things. And it doesn't matter if there's some very experienced people I know by the names, like in this room, who are very experienced and very established. Positioning's everything, right? And if you do the outreach right as well, and you get the right bookings, then again, the audience is a lot warmer instead of trying to put a round peg in a square hole, or vice versa, whatever the saying is. But you get my point, right? What are your biggest learnings? I want to hear from you. What are your takeaways? Type them up or say them quickly on the mic. It's up to you. And then we'll go from there. What are your biggest learnings? Love to hear. Tom, as you're unmiked, what's your big learning?
For me, it's all about talking about when you said about them, the problem of not having it. Right. We tend to focus on why they should have it. Right. And we've struggled to get traction. We have traction in our business, but it's very slow. And yeah, I think that's probably what we've been doing. And it's going to be for the next month or so. I'm going to use that and reposition what we're saying, right? And see if that makes a significant difference. Yeah. Keep
me posted. Love to hear how you get on.
Yeah.
Deborah, every bit of content has to sell. Yeah. Even your thoughts, right? And the problem of not having it. And yes, problem not. Absolutely. Good learnings there, Deborah. Really good learnings. Anyone else want to share their top learnings?
Yes, very quickly, especially the bit about getting feedback and how that might work with or against you and how to overcome that. So you were saying about getting feedback after the sale. So thank you.
Yeah. And, I used to, especially at the beginning part of my journey, I used to just before I used to do the sale, and then I used to go, okay, we're going to hand out feedback forms. And it just takes people out of the sales process. Because they're going, I like this, I didn't like this, thank you, and they're out, right? Versus leaving people on a buying decision. So we stopped doing it that way, right? Good learnings, people. So that wraps up the 7 steps. So just a very quick reminder, if you do want to do more with us, because I'd love to carry on with you in our efficiency speaking and selling program, we work with you to rework the talk. We help you with marketing the talk and getting booked. And of course, continuous support through WhatsApp. Through every 2 weeks, we have Zoom sessions. In fact, one of them's happening after this where we answer any questions you have to keep the momentum. As I say, it's really about me putting my skin in the game just as much as you. You pay a little bit up front and then nothing for 90 days and then a little bit in 90 days. But the idea is you would have made the money quicker than that. And that's really who I want to focus on, working people as doers and getters. And this will be the last time we do it at this price. So just to remind you, get one-to-one with me where we recreate or create your talk. Step 2, where we show you how to where to go to speak and how to get there. And of course, you get booked and deliver your talk. And then that's how we do it. We get you the results. So this is for you. I think if you have something to say, right, you want more sales, you want more positioning, more expertise. There are bonuses. Please read that on the Google Doc, right, which we'll repost in a minute. So it's £360 all in. That's the teeth, the skin in the game. You'll get booked by the end of the year to do this session, although it might have to be an evening now, only because of my time, but it doesn't have to be, right? And then nothing for 90 days. And in the meantime, you're executing. And then again, if you haven't made the money by then, it's just another payment of 360 and then 90 days. And then the last payment is after those 90 days. It's all in the Google Doc, right? I'd love to carry on working with every single one of you. That'd be fantastic. So if you do want to do it, you can, the link is here in the chat, right? I will repost it, or Regina will. But otherwise, if you just want to book a call in with me, that's also on the Google Doc, and you want to discuss your options. Obviously, you might have questions, like Gia here is working with us. She had lots of questions. She booked 2 calls. That is very welcome. You know, I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about the program, because I want to carry on working with you. So grab the link, open it up, have a read. Let's talk. If nothing else, let's talk. And again, put money to one side. Can you see the value of this? Can you see the importance of getting this right? If you've answered yes, book in a call. Let's have the chat. I want to thank you for coming today. My name's Elliot Kay. I hope you go out there, make a massive impact. I also hope you choose to work with us. So I'd like to wish you a lovely rest of the day. Let's talk soon, and I'll speak to you soon. Thanks, Deborah. And Gia's
Thank you,
joined.
Elliot. Thank you.
See you very soon. Bye.
Bye.